All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful framework for leadership. I want you to think of it as a tool that can bring some serious clarity to what can be a super demanding and, let's be honest, a pretty chaotic role. You know that feeling, right? It's like a constant juggling act. You're putting out today's fires, you're trying to manage your team, and then somehow you're also supposed to be planning for next year's growth. It feels like you're being pulled in a dozen different directions at once. And it is a perfect recipe for feeling completely overwhelmed. So what's the solution? Well, the big idea here isn't to just work harder or, get better at juggling. That is not the answer. The real key is to get a new map, a whole new way to organize your focus by seeing that all your responsibilities actually fit into three very different but totally interconnected worlds. And that map is the three worlds of leadership. Think of this framework as your new leadership compass. It's designed specifically to help you cut through all that complexity and point your attention exactly where it needs to be, right when it needs to be there. So here they are. First, you've got organization development. That's the internal world of your people, your culture, basically how work actually gets done. Then there's the business model. This is the external world of your strategy and your unique place in the market. And finally, you have operations, which is the engine room that turns your strategy and culture into consistent results. You see, mastering the dynamic balance between these three, that is the absolute key. Now, what's so critical to understand is that each of these worlds has its own unique spirit, its own kind of DNA, you could say. And each one demands a very different set of actions from you as a leader. So let's break them down one by one. We have to start with the true foundation of everything, organization development. And look, this is not some fluffy HR term. This is the very soul of your company. Its spirit can be summed up by PTO. Perceiving is all about how your organization takes in information from the market, from customers, from itself. Thinking is how it processes that information to make decisions. And operating is how it turns those decisions into coordinated action. This right here, this is the soil from which all success grows. Next up, we build on that foundation with a business model. This is all about the external game, your strategic position out there in the market. Its spirit is defined by the PCCG framework. This means you're constantly asking, are our products aligned with what the market actually needs? Who are our ideal customers and how are their needs changing? Are our channels the most effective way to reach them? And what's our strategic geographic footprint? This is the what, who, how, and where of your entire business. And finally, we land in the engine room, the world of operations. The spirit here is so simple and so powerful. Execute to win. This is where the rubber meets the road. All that brilliant strategy, all that amazing culture, it's just potential until your operations turn it into real, measurable forward motion. But here's the twist. For the next few moments, we're going to zoom in on this world of operations. And we're starting here for a really important reason. The old way of running this engine, well, it just isn't good enough anymore. There's a new mandate for operational excellence. This really illustrates the critical shift. The old model was about managers being supervisors, just watching over people doing manual work. It was heroic, sure, but it creates a huge bottleneck, and it just doesn't scale. The new mandate is about leaders becoming architects, building tough, self-sustaining systems that pretty much run themselves. So how do you actually become an architect? Well, it boils down to these three steps. First, simplify. I mean, be ruthless about it. Get rid of any step that doesn't add real value. Second, codify everything. Write it down. Create the playbook. And third, once it's simple and clear, you automate relentlessly. Use technology to build a reliable machine that does all the heavy lifting for you. This quote just perfectly captures the goal of codification. It's not about getting the job done right once. The goal is to build a system that can replicate high-quality work at a massive scale over and over and over again. That is the bedrock of scalability. But what about the people in all this? This isn't about replacing people. It's about setting them free. And that's where the TDS loop comes in. You train your team on these new codified systems. Then, because the system is so reliable, you can delegate real responsibility with total confidence. And this entire cycle only works because it's built on that foundation of solid systems. It's a really powerful loop. Okay, so we've just given our operations engine a massive tune-up. What's the payoff? This is the game changer. A smooth, predictable, world-class operations engine isn't just about saving money. It generates the fuel for everything else. The stability, the time, the cash, the mental energy. that you can then turn around and reinvest into your other two worlds. Okay, so let's zoom back out to our main map because thinking about these worlds in isolation, that is the biggest mistake you can make. Their true power is only unlocked when you consciously integrate all three of them together. Now, from a leader's perspective, integration means you have to be a bit of a mental chameleon. You've got to be able to fluidly shift your focus and your mindset to fit the world you're currently operating in, sometimes in the very same meeting. And this requires totally different mindsets for each world. When you step into the organization world, you have to lead with empathy as a systems thinker. When you shift to the business model, you become strategic, data-driven, and completely customer-obsessed. And when you jump into operations, your focus sharpens to pure discipline and process. True integration is all about knowing which hat to wear and when to wear it. So when you boil it all down, here's the big takeaway. Your primary job as a leader isn't to be the world's best operator, or the smartest strategist, or even the most inspiring culture builder. Your most important job is to be the great integrator, the one person who sees how all three of these worlds connect. And you can't do that without a balanced scorecard. You can't just track revenue. For your organization, you track things like employee engagement. For the business model, yeah, it's the hard numbers like market share. And in operations, it's all about efficiency and quality. A truly healthy company is strong across the board. And that brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. Just take a second and think about your own leadership context. Be really honest with yourself. Based on everything we've just covered, which of these three worlds, organization development, business model, or operations, needs your attention the most right now? Answering that question, well, that's your first step.